What's good, superstars? Back with another VeVe Omi video. You got Superstar Joe, you got Superstar Rob in the building. How's it going, Rob?
Pretty good, you?
Not bad, not bad, not bad. Oh man, we haven't talked in Omi in a long time. But guys, if you're new here, do not forget, become a superstar. Smash the subscribe button down below. Hit the bell notification. You know whenever we post another Omi video. You can also become a superstar VIP $2.99 a month. Hit the join button down below. Get access to all of our giveaways every single month. You can follow, get one of these stars next to your name, flex on them in the chat. Also, you can follow us on X, follow us on Instagram, join the Discord. We have a chat for everything. Still got to make a Veveverse chat in the Discord, so you guys can go and share your lands and your ways to access all of your stuff that you've been building over there. But we got some content today discussing maybe potential of the Veveverse and also potential of Omi if things could be done this way. We have a couple ideas, but Rob, how's it going?
It's going pretty good. I mean, it's been a while since we've done an Omi video. We've done many of them throughout the years. A lot of them do involve, burn predictions. Some of them involve price predictions. Looking at the different mechanisms to burn Omi. We've been tracking it for many, many years now. There has been some changes, though. We know that Omi NFT doesn't exist on Stacker, but it doesn't seem like the volumes are really there, right? And I think what you're seeing a lot of chatter online. And by the way, I should mention one of the reasons why I think that the volumes are not really there is because the utility is not really there in the background, right? There's no real reason to go and use Omi to buy any VeVe collectibles. There's no utility, no benefits. But I just have a chart here. And I mean, we know this because we've been in the game for a long time. But there has been a continuous downtrend to the Omi price. And I think it's at pretty much, definitely a 1 year low, probably like a 3 or 4 year low maybe, and it's 0.00024. It gets spikes every once in a while for just some random reasons, and usually when that happens, we know that probably isn't going to stick around for too long. But we thought to ourselves, okay, well, maybe the Veveverse can be a tool to help pump the Omi token, right? Like, and we're using the word pump in terms of price appreciation, but basically, really what it's doing is, can the Veveverse bring utility to the Omi token in a way that you get exclusive benefits from using the Omi token that then drives demand for people to use the Omi token? So we're going to jump into this conversation. Joe, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, I mean, again, you mentioned it there. It's we need to accelerate the Omi burn. That's it. And the way to do that is have exclusive features that you can only do with Omi. Omi the NFT, we did a video on the channel talking about how we don't think it's going to impact the price that much because you can still buy with fiat, and everyone's first choice is always going to be fiat. Also, people who hold Omi, why would you use that Omi that you hope to appreciate back to the value that you bought it at? Because pretty much everybody here is down on their Omi price. So, I mean, if you want to get back to your original price, why would you sell that same Omi or use that same Omi to buy collectibles when you can buy fiat, the collectibles, and hope that everyone else does it to make your Omi go up in value? So there needs to be exclusive things to do. And I thought about it, and like one of the things they should maybe look into at least would be having these things here. If I can pull this, I don't know why it's not coming up. There it is. So they did this drop, the Marvel Mighties upgrades, and they've done it before, and now they're doing it again. And I love the idea. We actually have a video on the channel shortly before any of this stuff was announced. I think it's just coincidence, but basically going back to old collectibles and allowing upgrades to maybe a better collectible animation, anything like that. The one thing I'm not too keen on with this whole thing is that it's not the same collectible. It's being treated as a completely different collectible. So for example, like the FA tag, if it had one, is now dropped off if you go for this burn and craft mechanic. I feel like the way to do this was to have one collectible, and now you're upgrading that collectible, still the same collectible with upgraded features. Having the skeleton there and then being able to add on and build on top of it, I think would have been the way to go with this. And now the other thing I'm thinking here is you got these upgrades, the thing you can go the upgrade to the one where he's punching the ground, and kind of almost like the Hulk animation that we have on VeVe. But they're charging a modest price here, 5 gems to do this if you can get in their craft fast enough. And you also need a little bit of MCP, very little MCP points, so really negligible at this point. Just means you have to be in the game at some point to be able to do that. And then you're burning your original collectible to do this upgrade. I feel like this is the perfect thing that could have been an Omi exclusive, using Omi to add to the collectibles in the Veveverse. Just giving Omi that exclusive, not value, but exclusive mechanic that brings something more to your experience in the Veveverse, and making people want to go out, get some Omi. At the same time, maybe any of the Omi used to do these upgrades gets burned in the process, or maybe a majority or big portion of it. Sure, it wasn't on that original roadmap, but nothing on that original roadmap exists anymore. Nothing on the second, third, fourth, and fifth roadmap really exist anymore. They have a little bits and pieces here, but we do expect, if you listen to our AMA with Ben Rose on the channel, there should be in 2025 an Omi roadmap upcoming. Just wondering why things like this aren't being included.
Well, I think part of the reason why, and we've talked about this before, I'm going to bring up an old video of ours here. And it's VeVe moves closer to fully ditching the Omi token. Now, this created a little bit of animosity towards us when we put out this video. But I think the point of the video was clear, which was that there's an intentional separation of assets, where Ben Rose came in. We did an interview with him recently. You know, he told us, look, I'm the VeVe CEO, and I'm going to focus on this so that, you know, Dan and David, they can focus on Omi. And I think what they've done and what we've speculated is that they did not want, because of the potential regulation risks, they don't want the Omi token deeply embedded in the VeVe app directly. They originally built the Omi token as, you know, actually gems were created as a way to facilitate Omi as like the main environment, right? That was the whole intention from day one. And they changed things because they want to separate that. There's no need for that anymore. Gems are gems. They're for the VeVe app. And Omi you could find utilities. And the way we have utilities right now is that if you bring in that 10 million Omi, you get MCP points. And then the MCP points is what you actually use in the VeVe app to do something. And then also you have Omi and NFT now, which you do in a third party, which kind of disassociates using Omi directly in the VeVe app, right? And it kind of, you know, I think the effectiveness of Omi in terms of the average guy on the app using it, it didn't make it so easy. We originally envisioned maybe a button on the VeVe app saying buy Omi right on the spot, just as easy as gems, and using that in order to buy and sell collectibles. But I think that the reason why they're not doing Omi exclusive for things like upgrades is because they want to generate primary sales, and they can't generate primary sales directly with Omi. So they want you to be able to say, okay, in the app, you'll buy gems. This is directly to our revenue. And then you can go and use this upgrade in the Veveverse. And I don't know from a technological perspective if they're going to allow Omi to then be purchased so that you can use Omi, you know, to buy the upgrade. But then technologically, you have to, like, how do they then gate that in the Veveverse? Because the Veveverse just connects to the VeVe wallet. So let's say you want to buy an upgrade. I don't know if there's a way to buy an upgrade and not have it shown both in VeVe and Cavernous. I think you can't just have Cavernous only upgrades. I think it has to be you buy it in your VeVe wallet, you get that collectible with the animations, and then it gets gated over to Cavernous. But I think if they could find a way, something exclusive, and we talked about, can Omi be, in previous videos, can Omi be the commerce? Can Omi be the currency of the Veveverse? They kept talking about the VeVe City and how maybe you're gonna be able to buy land and all these things. I don't know if that's still on the table anymore. But if you can use Omi solely for these kind of transactions, now all of a sudden there's demand. And maybe because Cavernous is a third party, maybe it can work that way. I don't know, because we haven't gotten any clues yet on exactly how they're gonna go about executing that in a way that keeps that separation of assets, like we've heard of Omi and VeVe. So I'd be curious to see if they could find a way to resolve that, and then maybe they can use Omi for exclusive purchases within the Veveverse. Maybe not necessarily that needs to be linked to a wallet, but can be solely within a Cavernous account, and maybe land is one of them.
I mean, there's other ways that, I mean, they can do things. They could be creative, I feel like, just to give Omi that exclusivity. I gotta remove your screen again. Yeah, I hate this button. I'm not used to it, but
they ruined StreamYard. They ruined StreamYard.
Yeah, they ruined StreamYard. StreamYard is going to zero. But yeah, Dr. Doom, for example, like, look at this. it's 5 gems by 599 editions. They're not making a dent here. This is not something that primary sales matters, I don't feel like, to keep the company afloat here. I think this is something that could have been experimented with Omi, and we haven't seen really that synergy, let's use their word, with the Stacker app and Cavernous yet, at least not that I'm aware of. But even another way, as you were talking, I was thinking, I'm like, maybe you have a staking program in Stacker where, listen, you're locking up these tokens now, you're staking them, it puts you into this tier of stake. Let's say you stake 10 million, now you're in tier 1. Anyone in that tier 1 with that username, it copies that into Cavernous. Okay, this user has a tier 1 membership. Now they have access to these animations, and it's this level 1 of animations, and they can gate those on Cavernous. I don't know. Like, I mean, technologically, I'm sure there's a way to do anything when it comes to activating and unactivating animation. We see it on Flick Play all the time. I mean, if built properly, these collectibles you can add and take away from everything. And it looks like they may not have been built that way initially, but I think with these upgrades, they are starting to implement skeletons into previous collectibles. When we had our interview with Reese a long time ago, he said, yes, it's a lot of work to upgrade collectibles to have skeletons. It looks like they might be biting the bullet on that and doing this. Maybe whatever it is, $5 times 599 editions is the cost of that skeleton upgrade. I don't know. And maybe they're not making anything off of it and just trying to cover their costs. But I feel like they got an opportunity here where Omi could be an exclusive use case, and upgrades might be the perfect example, or Veveverse exclusive access as abilities. I know that there was mention of Veveverse having paid features. Maybe people in tiers that are staked to a certain amount on Omi get those features for free if they are features that people really want. Right now, there's low traction in the entire space, not just VeVe. People aren't flocking to the space, but if it's something that people want, you hope it could pick up quickly if they give Omi that exclusivity.
Well, I just don't know if Cavernous has, and I agree with you, technologically they can do anything, but specifically Cavernous, because that is the platform of choice. Is it set up to do these transactions? Can you go with an Omi, with a wallet, a crypto wallet of Omi, or maybe anything for that matter? And can you do some kind of peer-to-peer transactions within that environment? I don't know if it's set up that way, but I do think that they can find ways to be exclusive with Omi in the Veveverse. I think the opportunity is there, where as long as it's a Cavernous exclusive thing, so it's not linked to a VeVe wallet, really there's nothing stopping them from finding a way to gate something on Cavernous through Omi. And I don't know how exactly they're going to do it. I don't know if they got to go to Stacker and it's going to be a Stacker exclusive wallet that lets you buy, Cavernous exclusive things. Like even like land purchasing, like I'm assuming the land would be its own NFT, but then how do you exactly gate that in a metaverse environment such as Cavernous? Maybe someone watching knows the answer to that. Like if they even wanted to sell land, do you know exactly how they gate it so that in a VeVe city, for example, there's a piece of land that you can gate after purchasing it? Like, have you had experience with Cavernous to know how that would work? Have you worked in other metaverses that maybe operate on different platforms? Like we know about, Unity, Unreal Engine, right? Are these engines, people build on them, but is a platform like Cavernous even capable of maybe a third-party app that you can add on top of the Cavernous platform to allow these peer-to-peer transactions? So I'm speculating because I just have nothing to base it off of where this has worked in terms of buying land, gating land, living in a V, and then linking it to like a wallet on like a third-party platform like VeVe and getting it all to come together and operate smoothly. But between all these different parties, that I think it does exist maybe when it's contained just on one platform and one platform only. But now you're importing from this wallet, you're gating maybe something that's not even going to be in the wallet. Like there's all these things they got to do. So I'd be curious to see if they can find a way to bring that all together and then give Omi utility by giving it exclusive purchases.
By having multiple platforms, you're already starting to confuse people. I mean, not confuse people. It's understood now, like Veveverse's own application, Stacker's own application, VeVe's own application. But now you have to start to make it so that people want to do these things. Full disclosure, I've never logged into Stacker. I don't have a need to do it. I mean, I don't have a heavy Omi bag to do any of that stuff. And I'm not buying anything with Omi. So haven't done that because of the exclusivity is not there. It's not there for what we need besides the staking for MCP, but I can get MCP by owning collectibles and doing other things. So, I mean, we got to up the exclusivity. We got to up that. And Veveverse gives a great opportunity here. And if it means it goes through Stacker, then you're going to need me to log into Stacker to be able to do these exclusive things. And I think that's where we got to go with this.
The last thing I'm going to mention, Joe, is this is a completely obsolete diagram. This diagram, there's no point even looking at it for actually, real, this is the future roadmap. But what is important, all you got to get out of this is that there were multiple ways to burn Omi. So the whole point of this diagram, even though it doesn't count anymore, the idea is that there were multiple ways and multiple functions available to eventually burn as much Omi as possible. And we did a whole bunch of burn predictions, which also is pretty much pie in the sky kind of guesswork. But we did a little bit of like a sensitivity analysis just to see how much does the burn rate actually have to be so that in 2050, 2052, you would have a meaningful market cap because you burn so much Omi that the market cap has to go up because there's just less Omi available for people to own. And what we found is that you'd have to have ridiculous burns, upward of the 10%, 11% per year starting when we did this in like 2023, where you would have to burn like 10% of the supply. Like there's 270 billion of these things, right? Like it's like insane. Like to burn 27 billion a year is not going to happen unless you have aggressive utility that makes people actually willing to burn their Omi that they're invested in to try to make some money, but they invested it to make money, but they got to burn it because the utility is just so good that they can't help but to burn it for their own entertainment and their own joy. So I'm not seeing the vision here. I personally haven't seen a reason for any investor to burn Omi. I haven't really seen a good reason either for anyone to even buy Omi in the first place, especially if the Veveverse, if you're going to want to use it, you got to go on the VeVe app, you buy the collectible, and then you can use it on the VeVe app. So I think there's a lot. I would love to hear what you guys are thinking. Everybody watching this video right now, let us know in the comments below. Do you think that the Veveverse can pump your Omi bags? Let us know in the comments below. If you haven't already, don't forget, become a superstar, smash subscribe button, join the Superstar fam, and hit the bell notification button so you get our videos a couple times a week. And also thank you to our VIPs. You guys endlessly support us. We appreciate you so much. Everyone take care. See you next one. Bye-bye.
Love you. Bye.